Hi everyone. So I had mentioned on Twitter or Instagram or somewhere that I was thinking about making a quick video, hopefully quick video, about a new face product that I've been using, and it is the Lancome Dual Finish, and the color I have is Matte Porcelain 1. This is a powder product and it can be applied a couple different ways, several different ways. So I thought I'd show the two different ways that I've used that I've liked. So one is with the sponge that it comes with, damp, and the other is just buffing it in with a brush, dry. So if you are interested in seeing how it looks, how it works, what I think of it, then please stick with me. Okay, so now that we're all zoomed in, you can see the areas that I'm looking to cover, address, that kind of thing. I have some, spots, some redness in my chin, on my nose, around my nose, on my cheeks. And then the rest I'm just trying to even out. Like I have a lot darker freckles on just kind of the tops of my cheekbones, and then I have a lot more fair skin down my neck. So I'm just trying to kind of get everything to be a little bit more of a cohesive, face, evened out. I'm not looking for a huge amount of coverage, but I am looking for, I would say, light to medium coverage. So one thing I will say right off the bat is that there is a fairly strong scent in this. I've read online that it comes in unscented. I don't know where that can be purchased, but that's what I've heard. It's a fairly strong, kind of floral, typical old lady scent. I don't mind it for once. It smells like a perfume that my mom used to wear, so it's fine by me. It comes with two different sponges. There is the kind of dry sponge in here, which I've used a couple times, but I feel like it can be a little chalky, cakey, powdery the way I apply it, so haven't used that much. And it also comes with this one, which is used for applying it damp. So one thing I will note before I get going here, as you'll be able to see here, I have had a few issues with using it damp and it crustifying on me. I try really hard not to make the sponge too damp to avoid that, but it still has obviously happened a couple times. I'm going to do half my face with a damp sponge application and the other half just buffing it in with a brush in the powder form. So I'm gonna just take the sponge, and I've been using MAC Fix Plus, but that's just because it's the only water spray that I have handy when I'm doing my makeup. Otherwise I would just use a plain water, because this I find can be a little irritating to my skin. So I just do one spray of this from a distance. Oh, car seats. Okay. And then I try to just kind of work it into the sponge, make sure there isn't any kind of excess moisture sitting on the top. Maybe let it dry a little bit. So it's a little damp, but really not wet. Press it in. Okay. And so then I am just going to kind of rub it in there and pat it on. And you'll see that's kind of the amount that's coming up on the sponge. So that is the right half of my face done with the sponge applied damply. So you can see it has kind of evened out the skin tone, covered a little bit of the redness, covered a little bit of the spots, but not obviously completely, and just given me a little bit more of kind of a unified look, like you can see especially on my nose here, the color difference and the kind of redness that it has covered. I find that when it's applied wet, it does go on quite smoothly. It doesn't leave a powdery finish. It's matte, but it doesn't look dry. I have normal to a little oily skin right now. Normally it is very oily in my T-zone and normal on my cheeks. So I am curious to see if my skin does change back how it wears. But for right now, applied either way, I have, I would say, decent lasting power. It will kind of break down on my nose though. I can set it with another powder which will help a bit in that regard, but it does, it's gonna last on the rest of my face a good 8-10 hours, but not on my nose. So, and that's where right now I'm still fairly oily. So next I will do a brush application just with my Real Techniques buffing brush. And for that I'm just kind of swirling it in. So that is applied with the buffing brush. It's a fairly similar finish to the damp sponge, but I do feel like it can look a little bit more powdery and accentuate, you know, any fine hair you have on your face a little bit more. But overall, the coverage I would say is about the same as the damp sponge. So that's it. I would say that it can give you a little bit of a powdery look when applied with a brush or dry sponge, and if you put too much on with the damp sponge, it can have that same effect. It can start looking a little cakey. I do usually, I would say about half the time maybe, set this with something like Urban Decay De-Slick, and that will help kind of settle down any of the powdery kind of finish that it leaves, and just kind of freshen up my skin a little. So if I did not mention, the color that I have is Matte Porcelain 1. It's the lightest shade in the warm or the cool, I'm not really sure, so I'll double check that. Yeah. So real quick, I'll just put on some blush, maybe a highlight and a lip color. For my cheeks, I'm going to use the Milani Baked Blush, and this is in Luminoso. And I'm going to apply that with a MAC 180, because this can be quite dark for me. So I want to make sure I don't go a little overboard. And very lightly, I'm going to apply a highlight in the Balm Mary Lou-Manizer. And this is just kind of a champagne, super shimmery, and with the same 180 brush. So the blush is shimmery and the highlight is super shimmery, so I just want to be very light this. So so I don't look too crazy. And lastly, I'm going to apply a lip color. This is the Almay Liquid Lip Balm, and this one is in Rosy Lipped. These are quite sheer, but very comfortable. And quite moisturizing for a product that has color. And considering that they're more of a balm, kind of glossy format, they actually last a reasonable amount of time, even with drinking. I would say they last a couple hours. And the kind of moisturizing effect lasts maybe 3 hours without feeling like I absolutely have to put more lip balm on. And one last thing that I have been doing lately, because my neck has been looking so white compared to my face, that I've just broken down and started using bronzer on my neck and chest just to even it out, because getting my face to be as light as my neck and chest just is not working. So I'm using the Tarte Park Avenue Princess, and this is a matte waterproof bronzer, and I'm using just a really big fluffy brush to apply a thin layer of that. Kind of get it on the brush, tap it off, and try to even out the color a little bit. And since I have it out, I'll kind of contour a little bit around my chin, my jaw. So that looks a little more even. You know, it's not perfect, but at least there's a little bit more warmth kind of in that skin. So that is it, my kind of finished application of the Lancome Dual Finish powder in matte porcelain. And just again, it was applied with a damp sponge on this side and with a buffing brush on that side. If you have tried this product out, let me know what your thoughts are on it. If you liked it, didn't like the smell, that kind of thing, I would love to hear it. And just a quick little update, I'm not going to be around as much, and I know I have been kind of slacking off a little bit already, and that's just due to so many things going on right now. We did buy a house and we're trying to get some work done on it before we move in. I am pregnant and due in almost exactly a month now, and we also need to move within that month. So things are pretty hectic right now, but for the time being, I am definitely going to be around on Twitter and Instagram. I do post pictures, kind of face of the day, semi-regularly on Instagram, and the kitties may be showing up on Instagram here and there as well. Big surprise. So if you want to follow me there, I will have, I always have the links to my Twitter, Instagram, and blog in the description box. So check that out if you're interested. And as always, thank you for watching, subscribing, rating, commenting, all that good stuff. And I'll see you soon.